Summary and Case Study of the Art of Reading Minds by Henrik Fexeus. Journey into the Art of Reading Minds. Imagine being able to understand people on a deeper level, deciphering their thoughts and emotions through subtle cues and signals. This is the premise of Henrik Fexeus's book, The Art of Reading Minds, which guides readers on a fascinating journey into the world of nonverbal communication and psychological influence. This narrative will explore the key concepts and insights presented in the book, offering a glimpse into the powerful tools we all possess for understanding and connecting with others. The book begins by dispelling the notion that mind reading is a supernatural ability. Instead, Fexeus presents it as a practical skill, a way of decoding the intricate language of the human body and mind. He challenges the Cartesian idea that mind and body are separate entities, emphasizing their interconnectedness. Every thought, feeling, and intention we have manifests in our physicality, our posture, facial expressions, tone of voice, and even the subtlest of micro-expressions. This understanding forms the foundation of the book's approach to mind reading. Building rapport is presented as the essential first step. This involves establishing a connection with the other person, creating an environment of trust and understanding. Mirroring body language, matching tone of voice, and paying attention to energy levels are key techniques for building rapport. Fexeus also introduces opinion aikido, a strategy for creating common ground by acknowledging and validating opposing viewpoints before presenting one's own. The book then explores the fascinating connection between our senses and thinking processes. Fexeus argues that our preferred sensory impressions, visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, significantly influence how we perceive and interact with the world. For instance, a visually dominant person might use phrases like "I see what you mean" or "let's focus on the big picture," while a kinesthetic person might say "I need to get a feel for this" or "let's connect on this." This understanding can be a powerful tool for tailoring communication to resonate with individuals on a deeper level. Emotions, often considered elusive and intangible, are revealed through the subtle language of facial expressions. Fexeus discusses Ekman's 7 basic emotions: anger, contempt, disgust, fear, happiness, sadness, and surprise, and provides insights into how to recognize them, even when concealed. He emphasizes that recognizing these micro-expressions can give us a valuable understanding of a person's emotional state and motivations, allowing us to respond with empathy and awareness. The narrative takes a practical turn with a discussion on lie detection. Fexeus explores various verbal and nonverbal cues that might indicate deception, such as changes in body language, speech patterns, and facial expressions. He emphasizes the importance of establishing a baseline of an individual's normal behavior to accurately interpret these cues. Fexeus then examines the fascinating world of nonverbal communication in flirting and attraction. He discusses the role of rapport, eye contact, body language, and subtle physical cues in conveying interest and building romantic connections. Moving beyond passive observation, the book introduces techniques for actively influencing the thoughts and emotions of others. Fexeus discusses the power of suggestion, using embedded commands and carefully chosen language to subtly influence perceptions and behaviors. He also explores the role of implication and abstraction in shaping opinions, highlighting the importance of critical thinking and awareness in navigating these persuasive techniques. The concept of anchoring is introduced as a powerful tool for triggering specific emotional states. By associating desired emotions with physical sensations or other triggers, we can learn to access those emotions on demand, creating a powerful tool for managing stress, enhancing confidence, and influencing interactions. Fexeus concludes the book with a series of mind-reading demonstrations and party tricks. These fun and engaging exercises allow readers to practice the skills they have learned, using the EAC model, observing subtle physical cues, and employing suggestion to seemingly read minds and influence choices. The Art of Reading Minds leaves readers with a newfound appreciation for the power of nonverbal communication and the importance of understanding the subtle language of the human mind and body. By honing our observational skills, becoming aware of our own nonverbal signals, and learning to use language thoughtfully, we can enhance our communication, build stronger relationships, and navigate social situations with greater sensitivity and awareness. Chapter Summaries. Chapter 1, Mind Reading. Summary: the author defines mind reading as the ability to understand others' mental processes through observation of their physical reactions. He argues against the Cartesian notion of mind and body being separate entities, emphasizing that the mental and biological aspects are intertwined. Unlocking the secrets of mind reading. Imagine stepping into a world where you could decipher the hidden thoughts and emotions of those around you. This is the world that Henrik Fexeus invites you into in Chapter 1 of his book, The Art of Reading Minds. He begins by demystifying the concept of mind reading, assuring us that it's not about supernatural powers but about a practical skill we all possess to varying degrees. He encourages us to rethink our understanding of this concept, shifting it from the realm of the mystical to the realm of the observable. Fexeus then challenges the long-held notion of a separation between mind and body, an idea popularized by the philosopher René Descartes. He calls this Descartes' big mistake, arguing that the mental and biological aspects of a human being are not distinct entities but two sides of the same coin. This fundamental concept is crucial to understanding his approach to mind reading. If our thoughts and feelings are inextricably linked to our physicality, then by observing a person's physical reactions, behaviors, and communication patterns, we can gain insights into their mental processes. Fexeus explains that mind reading, in this context, involves recognizing and interpreting nonverbal cues, the wordless signals that people constantly send out, often unconsciously. These cues can be found in body language, facial expressions, tone of voice, eye movements, and even subtle changes in breathing and skin tone. He reassures us that we already engage in this form of mind reading all the time, even if we're not consciously aware of it. Here are 3 real-world examples of this concept in action. 1. The job interview. Imagine you're interviewing a candidate for a job. They may confidently answer your questions, but their fidgeting hands, averted gaze, and hesitant tone of voice might betray their nervousness and lack of self-assurance. These nonverbal cues, if recognized and interpreted correctly, can provide valuable insights into their true feelings and suitability for the role. 2. The first date. You're on a first date, and while your companion engages in conversation, their pupils dilate, their body leans towards you, and their mirroring of your gestures suggests a growing interest and connection. These unconscious signals, picked up by your observant mind, offer a glimpse into their attraction and the potential for a budding romance. 3. The family gathering. You notice your normally jovial uncle sitting withdrawn at a family gathering, his shoulders slumped, his smile strained, and his usual animated gestures absent. While he insists he's fine, these nonverbal cues suggest underlying sadness or worry that he might be trying to conceal. Chapter 1 lays the groundwork for understanding the power of nonverbal communication and the potential we all have to become better mind readers. By embracing the idea that our physicality reflects our internal world, we open ourselves to a deeper understanding of others and ourselves. The chapter encourages us to pay attention to the subtle cues and signals that surround us, to move beyond words and tune into the rich tapestry of nonverbal communication that constantly unfolds in our interactions with others. Chapter 2, Rapport. Summary: the author explores the concept of rapport, defined as a connection or understanding established between individuals. He argues that building rapport is crucial for successful communication and is a key component of mind reading. The author focuses on the crucial concept of rapport, the foundation upon which meaningful connections are built. It's about establishing a relationship of mutual trust, understanding, and receptivity. Fexeus explains that good rapport isn't simply about being nice, it's a dynamic process of adaptation and synchronization, aligning ourselves with the other person's communication style and preferences. The fundamental principle of rapport is to communicate in a way that resonates with the other person. This involves mirroring their body language, matching their tone of voice and tempo, and speaking their language, both literally and figuratively. This process isn't about mimicking or being insincere but about creating a sense of familiarity and understanding, signaling to their unconscious mind, "I'm like you. You're safe with me. You can trust me." Fexeus emphasizes the importance of subtlety and gradualism when establishing rapport. Start with small adjustments, observing the other person's responses, and gradually increasing the level of mirroring as the connection strengthens. He also highlights the reciprocal nature of rapport, where individuals take turns leading and following, creating a harmonious flow of communication. Here are 3 real-world examples that illustrate the power of rapport. 1. The business negotiation. Imagine 2 business professionals locked in a tense negotiation. One of them, skilled in the art of rapport, subtly mirrors the other's posture, tone of voice, and even breathing patterns. As the connection strengthens, the atmosphere shifts from adversarial to collaborative, paving the way for a mutually beneficial agreement. 2. The parent-teenager conflict. A frustrated parent struggles to connect with their withdrawn teenager. Instead of resorting to lectures or commands, the parent takes a different approach, actively listening to their teenager's concerns, mirroring their body language, and validating their feelings. This shift in communication style fosters a sense of understanding and respect, opening the door to a more meaningful and productive conversation. 3. The networking event. An individual attends a networking event, feeling anxious and unsure of how to connect with strangers. Remembering the principles of rapport, they focus on actively listening to others, mirroring their gestures and expressions, and finding points of common interest. As they engage in this way, they notice a shift in their own confidence and a greater ease in building connections with those around them. Rapport emphasizes that rapport is not just a social nicety but a powerful tool for effective communication and influence. By understanding and applying the principles of rapport, we can enhance our relationships, navigate difficult conversations, and create environments of trust and cooperation. The chapter also underscores the idea that establishing rapport is a continuous process, a dance of adaptation and synchronization that requires awareness, sensitivity, and a genuine desire to connect with others. Chapter 3, Rapport in Practice. Summary. This chapter provides practical techniques for establishing rapport, including mirroring body language, matching tone of voice, and paying attention to energy levels. It also introduces opinion aikido, a strategy for finding common ground by agreeing with opposing viewpoints before presenting one's own. Rapport in Action, a practical guide. The author takes the concept of rapport from theory to practice, providing a practical guide on how to consciously use nonverbal communication to create connections and influence others. Fexeus offers specific techniques for utilizing body language, voice, breathing, energy levels, and opinions to establish rapport and enhance communication. Body language. Fexeus reminds us that body language isn't about memorizing a set of gestures, it's about mirroring and synchronizing with the other person's nonverbal cues. He advises starting subtly and gradually, making small adjustments to posture, gestures, and movements to match the other person's behavior. The goal is to create a sense of harmony and resonance, signaling to their unconscious mind a sense of familiarity and connection. Observation exercises to practice body language mirroring. 1. Observe couples and groups. In a social setting like a restaurant, observe couples or groups of friends who seem to have a close relationship. Watch how they unconsciously mirror and lead each other's body language as they interact. 2. Mirroring from a distance. In a public space, choose someone you're not directly interacting with and begin subtly mirroring their body language. Notice if they react in any way, like initiating contact or seeming to recognize you. 3. Mirroring during conversation. Engage someone in conversation about themselves and, while they talk, mirror their body language. Notice how they are often unaware of your mirroring because they are focused on themselves. Voice. The voice is another powerful tool for establishing rapport. Fexeus suggests paying attention to the other person's tempo, volume, tone, rhythm, and even the specific words and phrases they use. Subtly adapt your own vocal patterns to match theirs, creating a sense of shared rhythm and understanding. He particularly highlights the importance of matching the other person's tempo, citing a study that found telemarketers who adapted their speech tempo to their customers saw a nearly 30% increase in sales. Breathing. Mirroring someone's breathing patterns can create a deep, albeit often subtle, level of connection. While observing breathing can be challenging, Fexeus provides a cuddle exercise to practice this technique. The exercise involves cuddling with a willing partner and becoming aware of their breathing rhythm. Try following their breathing and then subtly changing your own to see if they unconsciously follow your lead. Energy levels. Being sensitive to the other person's energy levels and adapting your own accordingly is crucial for establishing rapport. If someone is high energy and enthusiastic, mirroring their energy can create a sense of shared excitement. Conversely, if someone is calm and introspective, mirroring their lower energy level will demonstrate understanding and respect. Fexeus emphasizes that actions often precede feelings, so even if you don't feel the same level of energy, acting as if you do can help shift your own emotional state. Opinion Aikido, the art of agreement. Finding points of agreement, even on seemingly small matters, can be a powerful way to build rapport. Instead of directly contradicting or challenging someone's opinions, Fexeus advocates for opinion Aikido, where you seek out areas of common ground and use those as a starting point for conversation. This approach reduces defensiveness and fosters a sense of collaboration and understanding. Examples of opinion Aikido. **, if I were you, I would react in exactly the same way. This statement validates the other person's feelings and perspective, even if you don't agree with their actions. **, finding common ground, even in situations with opposing viewpoints, find something you can agree on, like a shared interest or a common value. This creates a sense of connection and opens the door for more constructive dialogue. **, agreeing with the popular opinion, in situations where you want to introduce new ideas or challenge existing beliefs, start by acknowledging and agreeing with the prevailing opinion before introducing your alternative perspective. 5 real-world examples of rapport in practice. Here are 5 examples of how the techniques from Chapter 3 can be applied in various situations. 1. Calming an upset customer. A customer service representative encounters an angry customer. Instead of becoming defensive or argumentative, the representative mirrors the customer's tone and body language, validating their frustration and actively listening to their complaint. As the rapport builds, the customer's anger begins to dissipate, allowing for a more productive resolution. 2. Connecting with a shy colleague. A team member notices a colleague who is consistently quiet and withdrawn in meetings. They make an effort to engage with the colleague one-on-one, subtly mirroring their body language and speaking in a soft, reassuring tone. This approach creates a sense of safety and trust, encouraging the colleague to open up and contribute more freely. 3. Motivating a team. A team leader wants to inspire their team to embrace a challenging new project. Instead of simply outlining tasks and deadlines, they use energetic language, expressive gestures, and a confident tone of voice to convey enthusiasm and belief in their team's capabilities. This approach creates a shared sense of excitement and motivation. 4. Building trust in a sales pitch. A salesperson wants to establish trust with a potential client. They actively listen to the client's needs and concerns, mirroring their body language and using language that reflects the client's values and priorities. This approach demonstrates understanding and builds a foundation for a more genuine and persuasive interaction. 5. Diffusing a conflict. 2 friends find themselves in a heated argument. One of them, remembering the principles of opinion Aikido, takes a step back and acknowledges the validity of their friend's perspective. This shift in approach de-escalates the tension and creates space for a more respectful and productive conversation. Key learnings from Chapter 3. Chapter 3 provides a practical toolkit for consciously using nonverbal communication to build rapport, create connections, and influence others. The key takeaway is that rapport is a skill that can be learned and practiced, enhancing our ability to communicate effectively, navigate social situations, and build more meaningful relationships. By paying attention to the subtle cues and signals that we send and receive, we can become more adept at reading minds and influencing the minds of others in positive and ethical ways. Chapter 4, Senses and Thinking. Summary. The chapter explores how people's preferred sensory impressions, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, influence their thinking processes and communication styles. It introduces the EAC, eye-accessing cues, model, a theory suggesting eye movements can reveal a person's dominant sensory modality. Deciphering thought processes, understanding senses and thinking. The author explores the intricate connection between our senses and our thought processes, revealing how our sensory preferences shape the way we perceive and interact with the world. Fexeus explains that by understanding these connections, we can gain deeper insights into how others think and tailor our communication to resonate more effectively with their individual styles. The role of sensory impressions in thinking. Fexeus highlights that our senses are not only essential for navigating the physical world but also play a crucial role in shaping our thoughts, memories, and even our imagination. He explains that when we think, we draw upon our sensory experiences, both past and present, to construct meaning and understanding. He illustrates this concept with a vivid example, imagining a walk on the beach. Even if we haven't had that exact experience, we can construct a mental picture using fragments of related sensory memories, the feel of sand between our toes, the sound of crashing waves, the smell of salty air. This process demonstrates how we use our senses to create internal representations of the world, both real and imagined. Furthermore, Fexeus points out that we don't always consciously distinguish between internally generated sensory experiences, imagination, and externally perceived ones, reality. He provides a compelling sour exercise involving imagining biting into a lemon, which often triggers a physical reaction, increased salivation and a puckering of the mouth, even though there's no actual lemon present. This exercise underscores the powerful influence of our sensory imagination on our physical responses. Dominant senses, a key to understanding others. Fexeus introduces the concept of dominant senses, suggesting that individuals tend to favor certain sensory modalities over others when processing information. He identifies 4 main categories. Visual, those who prioritize visual information, focusing on images, colors, and spatial relationships. Auditory, individuals who favor sound and language, paying attention to tone, rhythm, and verbal cues. Kinesthetic, people who are attuned to physical sensations, emotions, and tactile experiences. Neutral, those who rely on logic, deduction, and internal dialogue, less influenced by external sensory stimuli. Fexeus asserts that understanding a person's dominant sense provides valuable insights into their thought processes and communication style. He provides various techniques for identifying dominant senses, including observing eye movements, listening for specific language patterns, and considering physical attributes and tempo. Practicing dominant sense identification. Observe eye movements. Eye-accessing cues engage someone in conversation and ask questions that require them to access different types of memories, visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Observe their eye movements, which may indicate the sensory modality they are using to process the information. Listen for sensory-specific language. Pay attention to the words and phrases people use in conversation. Visual people tend to use words like see, clear, bright, while auditory people use hear, sound, tone. Kinesthetic people might use feel, touch, grasp, and neutral individuals use think, decide, process. Ask open-ended questions. Ask someone how they prefer to receive information or how they would describe a particular experience. Their response might reveal their dominant sensory modality. Adapting communication for enhanced connection. Fexeus argues that once we identify a person's dominant sense, we can adapt our communication to resonate more effectively with their preferred style. He suggests using language, metaphors, and examples that align with their sensory preferences. For instance, speaking in vivid images and visual metaphors when communicating with a visual person, or using rhythmic language and emphasizing tone when speaking with an auditory person. He particularly emphasizes the importance of adapting communication in group settings, ensuring that all sensory modalities are addressed to maximize understanding and engagement. For example, in a presentation, incorporating visual aids, auditory elements, and opportunities for kinesthetic interaction can cater to a wider range of learning styles. Real-world examples of applying sensory awareness. 1. Teaching a new skill. A teacher, recognizing that a student is highly kinesthetic, incorporates hands-on activities and physical demonstrations to facilitate learning. They also use language that emphasizes physical sensations and movements. 2. Giving feedback. A manager provides feedback to a team member who is predominantly auditory. They focus on using clear, concise language, emphasizing tone of voice and active listening to ensure their message is received and understood. 3. Resolving a conflict. Two friends, one primarily visual and the other kinesthetic, are having a disagreement. By recognizing their different sensory preferences, they can better understand why they are interpreting the situation differently and adapt their communication to find common ground. 4. Creating a marketing campaign. A marketing team designs a campaign that appeals to multiple senses. They use striking visuals, catchy jingles, and interactive elements to engage a broader audience. 5. Motivating a team. A team leader, aware that their team comprises a mix of sensory preferences, uses a variety of communication methods. They combine visual aids, verbal encouragement, and opportunities for hands-on involvement to inspire and motivate each member effectively. A curious twist, the question of stable dominant senses. Towards the end of Chapter 4, Fexeus presents a thought-provoking challenge to the concept of fixed dominant senses. He cites research suggesting that dominant senses might be more fluid and context-dependent than initially believed. While acknowledging this potential inconsistency, he proposes an intriguing alternative. Perhaps the very act of actively searching for these patterns and adapting communication accordingly enhances our overall awareness and sensitivity to the nuances of human communication, leading to more profound connections regardless of whether stable dominant senses truly exist. Key learnings from Chapter 4. Chapter 4 emphasizes the profound connection between our senses and our thought processes, highlighting the importance of recognizing and adapting to individual sensory preferences for more effective communication. Whether or not fixed dominant senses are a definitive reality, the chapter encourages a heightened awareness of the diverse ways people perceive and interact with the world, urging us to move beyond simple verbal exchanges and engage with the richness and complexity of human communication through all our senses. Chapter 5, Emotions. Summary. This chapter focuses on recognizing and interpreting emotions through subtle facial expressions. The author introduces Ekman's 7 basic emotions: anger, contempt, disgust, fear, happiness, sadness, surprise, and discusses how to identify them even when someone tries to conceal them. Deconstructing emotions. The author shifts the focus from senses and thinking to the realm of emotions, exploring how they manifest physically, how to recognize them in others, and how to respond to them effectively. Fexeus dismantles the romanticized notion of emotions, presenting them as automated biological responses to stimuli that manifest through observable physical changes, particularly in our facial expressions. Redefining emotions as biological responses. Fexeus challenges the conventional view of emotions as intangible feelings, proposing instead that they are rooted in physiological reactions triggered by specific stimuli. He draws a parallel between our emotional responses and the instinctive fight-or-flight reaction triggered by a perceived threat. Just as our body prepares for action when we encounter a dangerous situation, it also undergoes a series of automatic changes when we experience an emotion. He acknowledges that this perspective might seem dry or unromantic, stripping away the mystery and poetic aura often associated with emotions. However, he argues that understanding the biological basis of emotions doesn't diminish their significance or the intensity of our subjective experience. He emphasizes that even though we now know that the warm, wonderful tingle we feel when we see someone we love is simply a side effect of an automated biological process, it doesn't change the fact that we still experience that powerful feeling. Beyond instinctive reactions. 9 emotional triggers. While acknowledging the instinctive nature of basic emotions, Fexeus expands the discussion to encompass a wider range of emotional triggers. He draws upon the work of renowned psychologist Paul Ekman, who identified 9 different ways emotions can be activated. 1. Automatic appraisal, instinctive, subconscious reactions to stimuli, like the fight-or-flight response. 2. Reflective appraisal, consciously analyzing a situation and its potential implications, leading to an emotional response. 3. Remembering past events, recalling past emotional experiences can trigger similar emotions in the present. 4. Imagining future scenarios, envisioning potential future events can evoke emotions associated with those scenarios. 5. Talking about emotional experiences, verbally recounting past emotional events can reawaken those emotions. 6. Empathy, observing and connecting with the emotions of others can trigger similar feelings in ourselves. 7. Conditioning, early childhood experiences, particularly those influenced by parents or authority figures, can shape our emotional responses to specific stimuli. 8. Violation of social norms, transgressions against social conventions can evoke strong emotional responses, varying depending on the culture and context. 9. Consciously evoking physical expressions, deliberately adopting facial expressions or bodily postures associated with specific emotions can actually trigger those emotions internally. The telltale signs, unconscious facial expressions. Fexeus emphasizes that emotions, regardless of their trigger, manifest through observable physical changes, particularly in our facial expressions. He argues that even when we try to conceal our emotions, subtle, unconscious micro-expressions betray our true feelings. He provides detailed descriptions and images of the specific muscle movements associated with various emotions, including happiness, corners of the mouth turned up, cheeks raised, crow's feet wrinkles around the eyes. Sadness, drooping eyelids, downturned mouth, eyebrows drawn together. Fear, eyes wide open, eyebrows raised and drawn together, mouth slightly open. Anger, eyes narrowed, eyebrows lowered and drawn together, lips pressed tightly together. Surprise, eyebrows raised, eyes wide open, mouth open. Disgust, upper lip raised, nose wrinkled, eyebrows lowered. Practicing emotion recognition. 1. Observe people in natural settings. Pay attention to facial expressions in everyday interactions, trying to identify the emotions being expressed. 2. Watch videos or movies. Pause the video at various points and analyze the facial expressions of the characters, trying to discern the subtle cues that reveal their emotions. 3. Use mirrors. Practice making different facial expressions in front of a mirror, paying attention to the specific muscle movements involved. 4. Study photographs. Examine photographs of people expressing different emotions, focusing on the subtle differences in their facial features. 5. Engage in role-playing. Practice scenarios with a friend or partner where you take turns expressing and identifying different emotions through facial expressions. Fexeus also emphasizes the importance of context when interpreting facial expressions. He cautions against assuming that a specific expression always indicates a particular emotion, as the meaning can vary depending on the situation and the individual. Othello's mistake, the perils of emotional bias. Fexeus introduces the concept of Othello's mistake, drawing on Shakespeare's tragic play Othello to illustrate the dangers of misinterpreting emotional expressions due to our own biases. Just as Othello's jealousy blinded him to the true nature of his wife's actions, our own emotions can distort our perceptions and lead us to misjudge the behavior of others. He explains that when we experience strong emotions, our thinking becomes selective, favoring information that confirms our existing feelings while ignoring contradictory evidence. This emotional bias can cloud our judgment and lead to misunderstandings, particularly in emotionally charged situations. Responding to emerging emotions. Chapter 5 not only focuses on recognizing emotions but also provides practical guidance on responding to them effectively. Fexeus emphasizes the importance of sensitivity and discretion when dealing with others' emotions, particularly when those emotions are subtle or potentially unwanted. He suggests observing changes in facial expressions as early indicators of shifting emotional states, allowing us to anticipate and address potential issues before they escalate. He also provides specific strategies for responding to various emotions. Anger, use opinion aikido, validating the other person's feelings and offering a neutral response, to de-escalate the situation. Avoid making important decisions or taking actions while the person is still angry. Fear, offer reassurance and support, emphasizing safety and security. Establish rapport and use physical touch, if appropriate, to provide comfort. Disgust, address the source of the disgust subtly and indirectly, without directly confronting the person about their expression. Real-world examples of applying emotional intelligence. 1. Negotiating a raise. An employee, noticing subtle signs of impatience and frustration in their manager's expression, adjusts their approach, focusing on highlighting the value they bring to the company rather than dwelling on their personal needs. 2. Giving a presentation, a speaker, observing signs of boredom and disengagement in the audience, incorporates more interactive elements, humor, and personal anecdotes to re-engage their attention. 3. Handling a customer complaint, a customer service representative, recognizing signs of anger and distress in a customer's voice and facial expressions, expresses empathy, listens attentively, and offers a sincere apology to diffuse the situation. 4. Mediating a conflict, a mediator, observing signs of defensiveness and hostility in the parties involved, creates a safe space for them to express their emotions, helps them understand each other's perspectives, and facilitates a constructive dialogue. 5. Building a strong relationship, a partner, noticing signs of sadness and withdrawal in their loved one, offers support, listens without judgment, and initiates physical affection to strengthen the emotional connection. Chapter 5. A shift from observation to influence. Chapter 5 marks a significant shift in the art of reading minds. While previous chapters focused primarily on observation and interpretation, Chapter 5 introduces techniques for actively influencing the emotional states of others. This transition underscores the practical application of mind-reading skills, moving beyond mere understanding to skillful and ethical manipulation of emotional states for positive outcomes. However, Fexeus reminds readers of the ethical considerations involved in influencing others' emotions, emphasizing the importance of responsibility and respect for the individual's autonomy. He urges readers to use these techniques for good, helping others achieve positive emotional states and fostering healthy relationships. Chapter 6. It's Never Too Late. Summary. The author shares a personal anecdote illustrating the importance of mind-reading skills in real-life situations. He describes a scenario where he successfully used his understanding of rapport and emotional cues to diffuse a potentially negative interaction. A missed connection, the importance of mind-reading in action. The author titled It's Never Too Late, takes a pause from introducing new concepts to illustrate the practical value of applying the mind-reading techniques discussed in previous chapters. Fexeus presents a personal anecdote, a moral tale, to demonstrate how understanding and responding to another person's nonverbal cues can significantly impact the course of an interaction. A lunchtime encounter, navigating social dynamics. Fexeus recounts an experience where he arrived late for lunch at a conference where he was serving as the MC. He joined a man who was sitting alone and began recounting a humorous incident from earlier that day, only to be met with a look of disapproval. He describes feeling judged and uncomfortable under the man's intense gaze. Instead of ignoring the situation, Fexeus recognized the importance of addressing the negative impression he had inadvertently created. He realized that leaving the situation unresolved could potentially affect his performance later that evening, as this man was part of the audience he would be engaging with. Empathy and mirroring, repairing a broken connection. Drawing upon the techniques outlined in previous chapters, Fexeus consciously employed mirroring and empathy to establish rapport and shift the dynamic of the interaction. He observed the man's body language and mirrored it subtly, demonstrating understanding and nonverbal agreement. He also actively listened, allowing the man to share his thoughts and opinions, further building a connection. Fexeus then gradually shifted his own body language to a more open and positive posture, subtly inviting the man to follow his lead. He also incorporated humor and self-deprecation to lighten the mood and create a more positive atmosphere. The turning point, shared laughter and understanding. By consciously employing these techniques, Fexeus successfully shifted the interaction from one of judgment and disapproval to one of shared laughter and understanding. He discovered that the man's initial reaction stemmed from a personal situation, unrelated to Fexeus's behavior. Through the process of active listening, mirroring, and adjusting his communication style, Fexeus was able to connect with the man on a deeper level, dispelling the negative impression and establishing a positive connection. The takeaway: applying mind-reading skills in real-life situations. Chapter 6 serves as a practical reminder of the power of applying mind-reading techniques in real-life situations. It highlights the importance of observing and interpreting nonverbal cues, Paying attention to body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice can provide valuable insights into a person's emotional state and thoughts. Responding with empathy and mirroring, demonstrating understanding and mirroring the other person's behavior can help establish rapport and create a connection. Adjusting communication style, adapting our communication style to match the other person's preferences and emotional state can facilitate clear and effective communication. Practicing real-life application. 1. Social gatherings. Observe the body language of people you interact with at social events. Pay attention to their posture, gestures, and facial expressions. Practice mirroring their behavior subtly and see if it affects the dynamic of the interaction. 2. Workplace interactions. Observe the nonverbal cues of your colleagues and superiors. Notice how their body language and tone of voice change in different situations. Adapt your communication style accordingly to build stronger relationships and improve collaboration. 3. Customer service. Pay close attention to the nonverbal cues of customers, especially those who are expressing frustration or anger. Practice active listening, mirroring, and empathy to de-escalate the situation and resolve their issues effectively. 4. Negotiations. Observe the body language and facial expressions of the person you are negotiating with. Look for signs of openness, defensiveness, or agreement. Adjust your approach and communication style based on their nonverbal feedback. 5. Public speaking. Pay attention to the audience's nonverbal cues during a presentation. Look for signs of engagement, boredom, or confusion. Adjust your delivery, content, and tone based on their feedback to keep them interested and attentive. Beyond observation, building meaningful connections. Chapter 6 underscores the idea that mind reading is not just about deciphering hidden thoughts but also about utilizing that understanding to build meaningful connections and navigate social dynamics effectively. It encourages readers to move beyond passive observation and actively engage with others, using the tools of rapport, mirroring, and emotional intelligence to create positive and fulfilling interactions. Chapter 7. Be a human lie detector. Summary. This chapter teaches readers to recognize signs of pressure and deception in others. It discusses various verbal and nonverbal cues that might indicate someone is lying, including changes in body language, speech patterns, and facial expressions. Unveiling deception, becoming a human lie detector. The author dives into the intriguing world of lie detection. It guides readers on how to identify those subtle, often unconscious cues that betray a person's attempt to deceive. It emphasizes that while words are easily manipulated, the body in its involuntary responses often reveal the truth. Understanding lies and contradictions. The chapter starts by defining what constitutes a lie, differentiating between socially acceptable untruths and deliberate deceptions aimed at personal gain. Fexeus emphasizes that lie detection focuses on identifying instances where individuals consciously misrepresent reality to achieve a desired outcome. He introduces the concept of contradictory signs, highlighting the dissonance between a liar's consciously controlled communication and their unconscious expressions. These contradictions, known as leakage, manifest in various ways, including body language, facial expressions, eye movements, and speech patterns. Deciphering body language, leakage and motion. Fexeus provides a detailed exploration of how body language can reveal deception. He explains that while the autonomic nervous system's responses, like sweating or blushing, are difficult to control, they typically occur only with strong emotions. The chapter directs attention to micro-expressions, fleeting facial expressions that betray concealed emotions. While these can be very reliable indicators, not everyone displays them. The eyes, windows to truth and deception. Eye movements also play a significant role in lie detection. Fexeus debunks the common myth that liars avoid eye contact, explaining that they often overcompensate by maintaining excessive eye contact. He suggests observing for inconsistencies between the expressed emotion and the natural eye movements associated with that emotion. The chapter explains how pupil dilation can indicate interest or arousal, providing further clues about a person's true feelings. Additionally, Fexeus points out that liars tend to blink more frequently and hold their eyes closed for longer periods, possibly as an unconscious attempt to shut out the world. The EAC model, discussed in previous chapters, is revisited in the context of lie detection. Fexeus explains that liars often construct their stories, which can be detected through specific eye movements associated with creative thought processes. However, he cautions that this model isn't foolproof and requires careful observation of an individual's baseline behavior. Unmasking deception in speech and gestures. Fexeus explains how hand gestures can betray a lie, particularly gestures directed towards the face. Covering the mouth, scratching the nose, or adjusting glasses can indicate an attempt to conceal or suppress the truth. The chapter provides a detailed analysis of various linguistic peculiarities exhibited by liars, including asterisk digressions and vagaries. Liars often offer long, rambling explanations to avoid direct answers. Asterisk repetitive answers. Liars tend to repeat the same story verbatim, lacking the natural variations that occur with genuine memories. Asterisk creating distance. Liars use language that distances themselves from their statements, employing negatives, generalizations, and past tense. Asterisk expressing reservations. Phrases like "I know this sounds strange, but" often precede lies. Asterisk linguistic sophistication. Liars may suddenly adopt a more formal speaking style. Practicing lie detection, a cautious approach. Fexeus cautions against jumping to conclusions based on a single sign, emphasizing the importance of observing multiple contradictory cues and considering the context. He advises against direct confrontation, recommending instead a more subtle approach, giving the individual an opportunity to clarify their statement or express their true feelings. Real-world examples, spotting deception in action. 1. Job interview. A candidate claims to have extensive experience in a specific software program. However, their eyes dart upwards and to the right, indicating construction of a thought, when asked about specific projects they've worked on using that software. 2. Sales negotiation. A salesperson emphasizes the unbelievable value of their product. However, they repeatedly touch their face and avoid using personal pronouns, suggesting a lack of genuine conviction in their pitch. 3. Relationship suspicion. A partner insists they were working late, but their pupils constrict, indicating a lack of interest when describing their evening. They also use past tense and avoid eye contact, further fueling suspicion. 4. Witness testimony. A witness provides a detailed account of an event. However, their story remains unchanged when questioned multiple times, lacking the natural variations expected with a genuine memory. They also exhibit excessive blinking and hand gestures towards their face, suggesting potential deception. 5. Political speech. A politician makes grand promises about the future. However, their language is filled with abstractions and generalizations, lacking concrete details or specific action plans. Their tone of voice is also incongruent with their message, suggesting insincerity. Learning from Chapter 7, Responsible Application. This chapter equips readers with a toolkit to identify potential deception. However, it emphasizes the importance of using this knowledge responsibly. Fexeus encourages a cautious and empathetic approach, focusing on understanding the reasons behind the deception rather than simply exposing the liar. The chapter encourages readers to become more astute observers of human behavior, recognizing that the truth often lies beyond words. Chapter 8, The Unconscious Pickup Artist. Summary. This chapter explores the unconscious signals and behaviors involved in flirting and attraction. It discusses the role of rapport, eye contact, body language, and subtle physical cues in conveying interest and attraction. Decoding attraction, the subconscious language of flirting. The author, titled The Unconscious Pickup Artist, explores the intricate world of nonverbal communication in the context of attraction and flirting. Fexeus emphasizes that flirting is not just about conscious seduction techniques but a complex interplay of subtle, often unconscious signals we send and receive. It's a dance of rapport, mirroring, and escalating intimacy driven by our subconscious desire for connection and acknowledgement. Establishing rapport, bridging the distance. The chapter begins by describing how attraction often starts with unconscious rapport building. Even before we consciously notice someone who piques our interest, our subconscious initiates the process of connection. We subtly mirror their body language, tempo, and energy levels, creating an unspoken sense of familiarity and understanding. Fexeus suggests visualizing a social setting, such as a party or a workplace, where we are interacting with friends. Suddenly, our subconscious registers someone attractive. Without conscious awareness, we begin to open our posture. We remove any physical barriers, like holding a drink in the opposite hand, ensuring our body faces the person of interest. Subtly mirror, we unconsciously adopt similar postures, gestures, and even breathing patterns as the other person, creating an unspoken bond. Increase eye contact, we engage in prolonged eye contact, signaling interest and inviting interaction. Escalating intimacy, from subtle cues to overt signals. As the interaction progresses, the subconscious flirting game intensifies. The chapter outlines a series of increasingly intimate behaviors, driven by the desire to connect. Facing each other, turning our bodies fully towards the other person signals a willingness to engage more deeply. However, Fexeus cautions that this can be perceived as confrontational if the other person is not comfortable with the level of intimacy. Dilated pupils, our pupils widen in response to interest and attraction, an unconscious signal of engagement. Fexeus recommends observing for changes in pupil size as an indicator of the other person's level of interest. Self-touching, discreetly touching ourselves, especially the neck or hair, can signal nervousness or a desire to soothe anxiety. However, in the context of flirting, it can also be a subconscious way of drawing attention to our bodies. Symbolic caresses, touching objects sensually, like swirling a drink or stroking a glass, can be an unconscious way of symbolically caressing the other person. Putting things in the mouth, sucking on ice, chewing on a straw, or licking our lips are subconsciously suggestive behaviors, drawing attention to our mouths and mimicking the act of kissing. Preening and loosening up, adjusting clothing, loosening ties, playing with hair, or slipping off a shoe are all unconscious ways of preening and signaling a willingness to become more physically comfortable. A real-life example, the unconscious dance of attraction. Fexeus shares an anecdote to illustrate how these subconscious behaviors can unfold in a real-life scenario. He describes a situation where he was engrossed in a conversation at a party, completely unaware of his body language. Only later, when a friend pointed it out, did he realize that he had been unconsciously mirroring and engaging in flirtatious behaviors with someone he found attractive. This anecdote highlights the power of the subconscious mind in driving our actions, particularly in the context of attraction. We often act on impulse, sending and receiving signals without conscious awareness. Practicing awareness, decoding the subconscious language of flirting. Fexeus encourages readers to become more aware of these subconscious behaviors in themselves and others. He provides several exercises to enhance our understanding of this subtle language. 1. Observe in social settings. Pay close attention to the nonverbal cues exchanged between people at social gatherings. Notice how body language shifts, eye contact intensifies, and subtle touches increase as people become more interested in each other. 2. Analyze your own behavior. Reflect on your own actions in social situations, particularly those involving people you find attractive. Were you aware of any subconscious mirroring, preening, or suggestive gestures? 3. Experiment with mirroring. Consciously try mirroring the body language and tempo of someone you're interacting with. Observe how it affects the dynamic of the conversation and your connection with the other person. 4. Pay attention to pupil dilation. Make a conscious effort to observe changes in pupil size as you interact with others. Notice how pupils dilate in response to interest, excitement, or attraction. 5. Deconstruct media portrayals. Analyze flirting scenes in movies and TV shows, paying close attention to the nonverbal cues and how they escalate the intimacy between characters. 5 real-world examples, unconscious pickup artistry in action. 1. The coffee shop encounter. A man at a coffee shop subtly adjusts his posture to mirror the woman sitting across from him. He removes his jacket, loosens his tie, and engages in prolonged eye contact, all while seemingly engrossed in his book. 2. The networking event. A woman unconsciously twirls her hair and touches her neck while talking to a man she finds attractive. Her pupils dilate, and she leans in closer as he speaks, signaling her interest. 3. The workplace flirtation. A coworker leans against a doorway, blocking the path of someone they are attracted to. They engage in playful banter, their body language open and inviting, while subtly mirroring each other's gestures. 4. The first date. A couple on a first date unconsciously synchronize their movements, mirroring each other's posture and sipping their drinks in unison. They laugh easily, their pupils dilated, their bodies leaning closer as the night progresses. 5. The long-term relationship. Even in established relationships, unconscious flirting behaviors can continue. Partners might still subtly mirror each other's movements, engage in playful touches, and maintain strong eye contact, reaffirming their connection and attraction. Learning from Chapter 8, Embracing Our Subconscious Flirt. The author invites us to embrace the complexities of our subconscious mind and its role in navigating the world of attraction. By becoming more attuned to the subtle language of flirting, we can become more confident and authentic in our interactions. This chapter encourages readers to move beyond the realm of pickup artistry and embrace the genuine connection and playfulness that underlie flirting. By understanding the unconscious dance of attraction, we can create more meaningful and fulfilling relationships. Chapter 9. Look Deep Into My Eyes. Summary. The chapter introduces techniques for actively influencing the opinions, ideas, and emotions of others. This includes using embedded commands and suggestions hidden within language, understanding the power of implication and abstraction in shaping perceptions. Exerting influence. A look into hidden commands and suggestion. Fexeus takes us deeper into the realm of influence, exploring how our thoughts and actions can be subtly shaped by others. Titled Look Deep Into My Eyes. The chapter focuses on techniques of suggestion and undetectable influence. Fexeus argues that while we are constantly bombarded with attempts to influence our decisions in advertising, politics, and even personal relationships, we can become more aware of these manipulations and choose how to respond to them. Recognizing embedded commands, the subconscious power of language. The chapter begins by highlighting the concept of embedded commands, where suggestive phrases are subtly woven into seemingly innocuous statements. These commands often bypass our conscious awareness, directly targeting our subconscious mind. Fexeus provides the example, "I'm starting to feel ill, Henrik." While the surface meaning might simply be a statement of fact, the embedded command "feel ill" can subtly influence the listener's state of mind, especially when repeated or emphasized. He explains that while a single embedded command might have a negligible effect, repeated exposure to such suggestions can significantly influence thoughts and feelings. Fexeus points out that negations, like "don't think of a pink elephant," also function as embedded commands, as our minds automatically conjure the very image we are told to avoid. Amplifying suggestion, using tone of voice and repetition. Fexeus suggests several techniques to amplify the impact of suggestions. Asterisk emphasis and tone of voice. Subtly altering our tone of voice or seeking eye contact when uttering the embedded command can draw the listener's unconscious attention to the suggestion. Asterisk repetition. Repeatedly using the same embedded command, even within different sentences, can increase its effectiveness. He draws parallels between these techniques and those used in hypnotherapy, where therapists utilize hidden commands and suggestion to influence the client's subconscious mind. The power of omission, making the listener fill in the blanks. The chapter also explores the influential power of ambiguity and omission. Fexeus argues that by deliberately leaving out information or phrasing statements vaguely, we can lead the listener to fill in the blanks with their own interpretations, making the message feel more personal and relevant. He provides several examples. Asterisk marketing slogans. Statements like "new sauce with more flavor" are intentionally vague, allowing consumers to project their own desires and assumptions onto the product. Asterisk the interrogation method. Used in China during the 1950s, this method relied on vague accusations like "we know it all, you may as well confess," leading prisoners to imagine and confess to crimes they might not have committed. The tight fist exercise. Experiencing suggestion firsthand. Fexeus offers a simple exercise to demonstrate the power of suggestion through omission. He instructs the reader to make a tight fist and hold it for several seconds. Upon slowly opening the hand, he suggests the reader will experience a rather odd sensation. Without specifying the nature of the sensation, he leaves it open for the reader to interpret and experience it in their own way. This exercise illustrates how ambiguity can lead to a powerful sense of personal relevance. Even though Fexeus has no knowledge of the specific sensation the reader is experiencing, the lack of specificity makes it feel as if he has directly influenced their physical state. Practicing awareness, detecting and utilizing suggestion. Fexeus encourages readers to become more aware of the subtle ways in which suggestion and influence operate in everyday life. He suggests several exercises. 1. Identifying hidden commands. Practice finding sentences containing hidden suggestions, such as not statements, repetition of value terms, or embedded commands. Start by analyzing everyday conversations and then move on to media sources like newspapers and advertisements. 2. Analyzing marketing techniques. Pay attention to how advertising slogans and campaigns utilize ambiguity and omission to engage consumers emotionally and create a sense of personal relevance. 3. Recognizing manipulation tactics. Become more attuned to the use of vague language and leading questions in conversations, particularly in situations where someone might be trying to influence your opinion or behavior. 4. Experimenting with suggestion. Try using embedded commands and ambiguous language in your own communication, observing how it affects the listener's responses and emotional states. 5. Real-world examples. The art of undetectable influence. Here are 5 examples of how the techniques discussed in Chapter 9 might manifest in real-world scenarios. 1. The motivational speaker. A motivational speaker uses phrases like imagine yourself achieving your goals and feel the power of success within you, planting suggestions that inspire and empower the audience. 2. The salesperson. A salesperson subtly repeats phrases like this product will make you feel confident and you deserve to treat yourself, subtly influencing the customer's purchasing decisions. 3. The politician. A politician uses ambiguous statements and leading questions to sway public opinion, leaving room for voters to interpret his words in a way that aligns with their own beliefs. 4. The therapist. A therapist employs embedded commands like you are becoming more relaxed and peaceful to guide the client towards a state of calm and well-being. 5. The parent. A parent uses positive affirmations and encouraging language to instill confidence and self-esteem in their child, subtly shaping their beliefs and attitudes. Learning from Chapter 9, wielding the double-edged sword of influence. The author concludes by emphasizing the ethical implications of using these powerful techniques. Fexeus stresses that while they can be used for positive purposes, such as promoting well-being and empowering others, they can also be misused for manipulation and control. He urges readers to use this knowledge responsibly, always aiming to help others achieve their best selves rather than exploiting them for personal gain. By becoming more aware of the subtle mechanics of suggestion and influence, we can navigate the complexities of human interaction with greater discernment and integrity. Chapter 10, Hall Anchors. Summary. The chapter introduces the concept of anchoring, a technique for triggering specific emotional states in oneself and others. It explains how to create and activate anchors by associating desired emotions with physical sensations or other triggers. Anchoring emotions. Fexeus, titled Hall Anchors, explores the fascinating concept of emotional anchors and how they can be utilized to consciously trigger desired emotional states in ourselves and others. Building on the previous chapter's exploration of suggestion and influence, Chapter 10 introduces a more direct and powerful method of shaping emotional responses. Understanding anchors, linking external stimuli to emotional states. Fexeus explains that anchors function like imprints, connecting an external stimulus, a touch, a word, a gesture, to a specific internal state, such as joy, confidence, or fear. Just as Pavlov's dogs learn to associate the ringing of a bell with food, we can train our minds to automatically associate specific anchors with desired emotional responses. He highlights that anchoring is a natural process that occurs constantly in our lives. Many of our everyday experiences are subconsciously linked to emotional states, often without our conscious awareness. For example, certain songs, scents, or places can trigger powerful memories and emotions, transporting us back to specific moments in time. Fexeus emphasizes that while these naturally occurring anchors can be both positive and negative, we can also consciously create and utilize anchors to access desired emotional states on demand. Planting anchors, techniques for creating powerful emotional triggers. The chapter outlines a step-by-step process for planting anchors. 1. Identify the desired emotion, clearly define the specific emotion you want to anchor. 2. Elicit the emotion, access the desired state by recalling a vivid memory, imagining a scenario, or engaging in an activity that evokes the emotion. 3. Anchor at peak intensity, when the emotion is at its peak, introduce the anchor, a touch, a word, a gesture, and hold it for a few seconds. 4. Repeat for reinforcement, repeat the process several times, intensifying the emotion and anchor with each repetition. 5. Test the anchor, after a period of rest, trigger the anchor to assess its effectiveness. If the desired emotion arises immediately, the anchor has been successfully planted. Types of anchors, exploring different sensory modalities. Fexeus discusses various types of anchors that can be employed. Kinesthetic anchors involve physical touch, such as a squeeze of the hand or a tap on the shoulder. Auditory anchors utilize specific words or phrases spoken with a particular tone of voice or emphasis. Visual anchors employ gestures, facial expressions, or visual cues. He advises using a combination of sensory modalities for creating stronger and more reliable anchors. The power of anchors, transforming negative states and amplifying positive ones. Fexeus highlights how anchors can be used to transform negative states. By anchoring a positive emotion and triggering it when a negative state arises, we can interrupt negative thought patterns and shift our emotional state. Amplify positive states. Anchoring peak experiences of joy, confidence, or motivation allows us to access these states more readily when needed. Enhance communication and influence. By associating anchors with specific messages or suggestions, we can make our communication more persuasive and impactful. 5 real-world examples. The art of anchoring in action. 1. The athlete, a basketball player, develops a pre-shot routine that anchors a feeling of calm and focus, improving her consistency and performance. 2. The public speaker, a speaker anchors a feeling of confidence and energy by striking a specific pose and taking a deep breath before stepping on stage, captivating the audience with her presence. 3. The musician, a musician uses a specific finger placement on her instrument to anchor a feeling of creative flow, leading to more inspired improvisations and performances. 4. The salesperson, a salesperson subtly anchors a sense of trust and rapport by mirroring the customer's body language and using their name frequently throughout the conversation. 5. The therapist, a therapist helps a client anchor a feeling of relaxation and safety to a specific phrase or image, providing a resource for managing anxiety and stress. Learning from Chapter 10, Harnessing the Power of Emotional Anchors. Chapter 10 equips readers with a powerful tool for influencing emotional states. Fexeus emphasizes the importance of ethical considerations, urging readers to use anchors responsibly and always with the intention of empowering others. By mastering the art of anchoring, we gain a deeper understanding of the interconnectedness of our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, and we unlock a powerful means of shaping our emotional experiences and influencing those around us. Chapter 11, Show Off. Summary. This chapter provides several mind-reading demonstrations and party tricks based on the techniques discussed in the book. These tricks involve using the EAC model, observing subtle physical cues, and employing suggestion to seemingly read minds and influence choices. Putting your mind-reading skills to the test. Fexeus shifts from the practical applications of mind-reading techniques to the realm of entertainment and demonstration. While still grounded in the principles of rapport, dominant senses, and emotional expressions explored in earlier chapters, Chapter 11 focuses on showcasing these skills in a way that captivates and amazes an audience. Fexeus presents a series of mind-reading tricks or demonstrations designed to highlight the power of unconscious communication and influence. He emphasizes that these demonstrations, while presented as entertainment, are rooted in the same techniques readers have been practicing throughout the book. Visible thoughts, unveiling thoughts through eye movements. The first demonstration focuses on revealing a person's thoughts by observing their eye movements. This technique leverages the EAC model, eye-accessing cues, introduced in Chapter 4, which posits that our eye movements often correspond to the type of internal processing we're engaged in, visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. Fexeus outlines a step-by-step process for this demonstration. 1. Set the stage, establish a comfortable atmosphere and explain to the volunteer that the experiment will involve creating and focusing on specific thoughts. 2. Evoke distinct thoughts. Guide the volunteer to visualize a series of distinct scenes or experiences, each involving a different sensory modality, visual, auditory, kinesthetic. For example, you might ask them to visualize their living room, imagine the sound of their favorite song, and recall the feeling of taking a hot shower. 3. Observe eye movements. As the volunteer focuses on each thought, carefully observe their eye movements, noting any consistent patterns that emerge. 4. Reveal the thought. Ask the volunteer to silently choose one of the thoughts. Based on their eye movements as they concentrate, confidently announce which thought they have selected. Fexeus provides a sample script for this demonstration, emphasizing the importance of adapting the themes and sensory experiences to suit the audience and context. He highlights the significance of presenting the demonstration in a way that maintains the mystery while ensuring the volunteer feels comfortable and respected. A bird in hand, detecting concealed objects through subtle physical cues. The second demonstration involves identifying which hand a volunteer has concealed a small object in. Fexeus offers 3 different methods for accomplishing this feat, each building on the principles of observation and subtle physical cues. Method 1. Blood flow and pallor. 1. Object concealment. Ask the volunteer to hold the object in one hand and switch it back and forth between their hands behind their back. 2. Elevated hand. Instruct the volunteer to hold their empty hand straight out and raise the hand containing the object to their temple, maintaining this position for 5 to 7 seconds. 3. Observe pallor. Quickly turn around and observe the volunteer's hands. The hand that was elevated will be paler due to reduced blood flow. 4. Reveal the hand. After the hands return to their normal color, dramatically announce the hand containing the object. Method 2. Ideomotor responses and arm movement. 1. Extended arms. Ask the volunteer to hold their arms extended in front of them, close together, and within their field of vision. 2. Focus on the object. Instruct the volunteer to concentrate on the hand holding the object without moving their arms. 3. Suggest weight changes. Verbally guide the volunteer to imagine the object becoming heavier or lighter, subtly influencing their ideomotor responses and causing a slight movement in the arm holding the object. 4. Reveal the hand. Observe the arm movement and confidently announce the hand containing the object. Method 3. Subliminal influence and hand positioning. 1. Closed eyes and extended arms. Ask the volunteer to close their eyes and extend their arms straight ahead. 2. Subtly guide hand movement. While talking about something unrelated, subtly move closer to the volunteer and gently brush against their arms, causing their arms to shift slightly. Guide one arm upward and the other downward. 3. Ask about object location. Ask the volunteer if the object is in their right hand. Since their arms have moved without their conscious awareness, the answer will reveal the correct hand. Fexeus emphasizes that these demonstrations, while appearing supernatural, rely on simple principles of observation, subtle physical cues, and the power of suggestion to influence unconscious responses. Back and forth, demystifying the pendulum. Fexeus addresses the intriguing phenomenon of the pendulum, often associated with divination and the supernatural. He explains that the pendulum's movements are not driven by mystical forces but by ideomotor responses, tiny, unconscious muscle movements triggered by our thoughts. He outlines a simple pendulum experiment. 1. Prepare the pendulum. Suspend a weight from a string and hold it over a surface marked with yes, no, and circle. 2. Focus on a response. Concentrate on one of the marked responses, yes, no, or circle. 3. Observe pendulum movement. The pendulum will begin to swing in a direction corresponding to the thought you're focused on. Fexeus cites experts in the field, including Greg Nielsen and Joseph Polanski, who explain that the pendulum serves as an amplifier of our unconscious muscle movements, revealing the subtle connection between our thoughts and physical responses. Learning from Chapter 11, The Art of Showmanship and Ethical Considerations. Chapter 11 equips readers with a repertoire of mind-reading demonstrations designed to entertain and amaze. Fexeus stresses that the true power of these demonstrations lies in their ability to highlight the principles of unconscious communication and influence explored throughout the book. He underscores the importance of ethical considerations, cautioning readers to use these demonstrations responsibly and to avoid exploiting the trust and vulnerability of their participants. 5 real-world examples, mind-reading demonstrations in action. 1. The Mentalist. A stage performer astounds an audience by seemingly reading the thoughts of volunteers, using techniques based on observation, suggestion, and subtle physical cues. 2. The Party Entertainer. An individual impresses friends at a gathering by performing a bird-in-hand demonstration, showcasing their ability to detect concealed objects. 3. The Therapist. A therapist utilizes a pendulum demonstration to illustrate the concept of ideomotor responses to a client, highlighting the subconscious connection between thoughts and physical reactions. 4. The Teacher. An educator uses a visible thoughts demonstration to engage students in a lesson on nonverbal communication, demonstrating how eye movements can reveal internal processing. 5. The Salesperson. A salesperson subtly anchors a sense of excitement and anticipation by associating a specific phrase with a product reveal, increasing the likelihood of a purchase. Chapter 11 concludes with a reminder that mind reading is not about supernatural abilities but about developing heightened awareness and understanding of human behavior. By mastering the techniques presented in the book, we gain a powerful tool for navigating the complexities of human interaction and creating more meaningful connections. Chapter 12, Mind Reading. Summary. This concluding chapter summarizes the key takeaways from the book, emphasizing that mind reading is a practical skill that can be learned and developed. It encourages readers to continue honing their observational and communication skills to improve their understanding of others. Mind reading in everyday life. Fexeus brings the reader to the culmination of their journey as a burgeoning mind reader. It emphasizes that mind reading, as presented in the book, is not a mystical ability, but a skill honed through observation, understanding, and application of the principles of unconscious communication. Fexeus asserts that genuine mind reading lies in recognizing the interplay between our thoughts, emotions, and physical expressions. He reiterates that since our minds and bodies are inseparable, our outward behaviors offer a window into our internal world. The Mind Reader's Toolkit, a recap of essential skills. The chapter begins with a summary of the key techniques and concepts explored throughout the book, highlighting the reader's newfound ability to establish rapport and build connections through mirroring body language, vocal tonality, and energy levels. Identify a person's dominant sensory system, visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, through observing eye movements, listening to their language patterns, and noting physical attributes. Recognize subtle facial expressions that reveal a person's emotional state, even when they attempt to conceal their feelings. Detect signs of pressure and potential deception by observing discrepancies between a person's words and their nonverbal cues. Decode unconscious signals of attraction and disinterest during flirting and social interactions. Influence a person's thoughts, opinions, and emotions through techniques like suggestion, anchoring, and embedded commands. Fexeus reminds readers that mastery of these skills comes through consistent practice and application in real-world settings. He urges readers to step outside the pages of the book and engage with the world, using their newfound knowledge to observe, interpret, and interact with others on a deeper level. Mind reading in action, a real-world scenario. Fexeus illustrates the practical application of mind-reading skills through a hypothetical scenario. Imagine you're at a networking event and strike up a conversation with someone you've just met. Within seconds, you begin gathering information about her internal state through observation and analysis. You notice she mirrors your posture and gestures, indicating a desire to establish rapport. Her eyes dart upward and to the right as she speaks, suggesting a visual dominant sensory system. Her language is peppered with visual metaphors, further reinforcing her visual processing style. A slight furrow in her brow and a tightening of her lips hint at a sense of apprehension or concern. Armed with this understanding, you tailor your communication to her specific preferences and emotional state. You maintain open body language and use visual language to enhance connection. You present your ideas in a clear, concise manner, appealing to her visual processing style. You acknowledge her underlying concern with empathy and offer reassurance. By applying the principles of mind reading, you establish a genuine connection, foster understanding, and create a positive interaction. 5 real-world examples of mind reading in practice. 1. The negotiator. A skilled negotiator observes the subtle nonverbal cues of their counterpart, identifying signs of hesitation, confidence, or willingness to compromise, enabling them to tailor their approach for a more favorable outcome. 2. The teacher. An attentive teacher recognizes a student's furrowed brow and downcast gaze as indicators of confusion or frustration, prompting them to adjust their teaching style and offer additional support. 3. The parent. A perceptive parent decodes their child's withdrawn behavior and lack of eye contact as signs of emotional distress, creating a safe space for them to open up and share their feelings. 4. The doctor. A compassionate doctor listens attentively to a patient's verbal and nonverbal cues, discerning underlying anxieties or concerns that may not be explicitly expressed, fostering trust and a more effective doctor-patient relationship. 5. The friend. A supportive friend notices their friend's forced smile and downcast eyes, recognizing their attempts to mask sadness or disappointment, offering a listening ear and a shoulder to lean on. Beyond the book, embracing the ongoing journey of mind reading. Chapter 12 concludes with a reminder that the journey of mind reading is ongoing. Fexeus emphasizes that consistent practice, observation, and a genuine desire to understand others are essential for continued growth and mastery. He leaves readers with a sense of empowerment, urging them to embrace the power of mind reading to enhance their relationships, navigate social situations with greater ease, and create more meaningful connections. Key takeaway from Chapter 12: mind reading is not about supernatural abilities but a skill developed through understanding and application of the principles of unconscious communication. Through consistent practice, we can become more attuned to the subtle cues that reveal the inner workings of the human mind, fostering deeper connections and understanding in all aspects of our lives. Thank you for listening. I hope this content is useful to you. If you like this kind of content, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel to support our team.